Hey, so I kind of just wanted to tie something together that I talked about a little bit yesterday, but I didn't really talk a lot about how it ties together. Um, so I did talk about kind of how I'm feeling and, just bereavement being a week. And the team I was on, they would have let me, take off a lot longer if I wanted to. They were super supportive, but again, like I've mentioned in other videos, I really didn't feel that I could because I didn't want to eat into my vacation time because I knew my daughter was going to need me. And she did. So I wanted to save my vacation and sick time to help her through the death of her father. Um, and that's what I did. So I took my week. We did take an additional week. I think I took an additional day actually. And then we took an additional week later to go travel to one of the Texas beaches. My friend, a really good friend of mine, her parents own a beach house um, on Padre, and she wanted to let me stay there for a couple of days. It was really just a couple of days because they rented out, and there was somebody coming to rent it. So I had it for 2 days, um, and we had to drive, and it's like an 11 to 12 hour drive from North Texas, which is where I live. But which I know that seems crazy for people like in other states, but yeah, it's really that far. Um, it took us all day to get there. We got there at night. We had the whole next day to hang out there, and the day after that, and then we had to leave. Um, so, but it was lovely, and um, I really needed to kind of decompress on the beach. So I was really grateful for that. But but again, this kind of ties back to corporate culture and just how stressful and how in the US we just do not have work-life balance at all, and a lot of people don't even have vacation time. In corporate culture you do, but there are a lot of people working who do not get paid vacation. They don't get paid sick leave. They don't have paid maternity leave. Um, Having health care is tied to employment. So you could just be in a really toxic job, but you can't leave because you need health care. Um, it's just, my situation is definitely um, better. Like I get paid vacation and um, I get a good chunk of vacation and I have sick leave, paid sick leave, and I'm done having children, but I did have paid maternity leave. Um, and I do get insurance. So it's not all bad, but it's just the fact that like, um, having, I just feel like having bereavement of 1 week is so indicative of how unrealistic corporate culture is with humans. Um, and I kind of want to talk about that. And my company did change it, um, a few years after COVID, I think probably because a lot of people lost their spouse and they were like, I can't do this. Like 1 week is ridiculous. Like I think when you have a bunch of people and people in higher places losing family members all at once, um, that's how things change because they experience it themselves and they're like, this is unreasonable. You can't expect me to be back at the office a week after I lose my spouse. Um, but I don't know that that's true. That's just an educated guess on why that policy changed. But it did change in 2023, 1 year after my spouse died. So, so I only had the 1 week, and it really burnt me out. Um, it burnt me out to lose him, and to still have to chug along like nothing happened. and to be this widowed single mom and trying to make it work. And then you kind of have your company change policies, like you have to be at the office 5 days a week, and you're just trying to make all of this work. And my managers were fantastic, don't get me wrong. They really, truly were. They were super supportive. They supported me during all of this. They gave me more flexibility. They got it approved to allow me to work from home more often. But that came at a cost, like I did have dings on my record for not being at the office every day. And that was hard, and just like having to get percentages up because people at the top of the company are looking at, you know, my attendance at the office and having conversations about it. And, not really, and they considered the fact that, you know, that I lost my husband, but just that added stress, it just compounds because you're worried. Like, I have a daughter, like I have to have insurance and work and money to survive. And so like you're just not allowed to grieve and to be to go through these things. Like they just don't want you to be human. They just don't want you to be human. They just want to they want you to be able to pick up things quickly. And if you can't do that, it does look bad on you. And then, and I know these things. Like I've seen people deal with the stresses of corporate culture for many years, and they had a few bad things happen, and they just couldn't do it in their 50s anymore. Like they just were unable to. And so it just kind of eats you up and spits you out, basically. And it's not designed for any kind of real work-life balance. Like they try, don't get me wrong. Like they really do. I believe that. Like they institute rules like do not email people after a certain hour. On Fridays, do not do meetings afternoon, like things of that nature. So they're really trying, to make it more conducive for people to have some kind of balance. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just they're competing, with other companies that may not have these policies that are more people friendly. And so at the end of the day, the whole entire system itself is just not people friendly. And it's, as an employee, you're replaceable, and one of the things that some corporations do, which a lot of people don't know this, I have no idea if mine does this, the one I work for, but they take out life insurance policies on their employees. I remember reading an article about that probably like a decade ago, and it just really didn't sit well with me. Like, and I'm not talking about a small policy. I'm talking about like, you know, $1 million policies, $500,000 policies, so that I mean, they could replace you in a week after you die. Like it's less likely they will, but they could. And the families aren't seeing any of that money. It goes to the corporation. I just find that really disturbing. And a lot of people don't even know that this exists, that companies do this. I don't know. It makes me feel sick to think that that this is something that actually this is practice and policy that happens. Anyhow, I've done this for many years, and there's no work is brutal. It really, really is. It is just brutal, and I don't know that there's anywhere to go where it's not. There's things you're gonna have to deal with everywhere. And like I even have friends that are professors who they've told me their horror stories about, getting tenure and anyways, like there's all kinds of complications everywhere. And a lot of, it's always political. Um, Anyhow, and just like even like being a teacher, you're like, oh well, you get the summers off. Well, you also don't get paid very well, to what you really deserve, because I think teachers should be paid more for what they do. They do a lot of work, and they put in a lot of effort of their own time to educating our kids, and then we don't even give them like a good quality of life, and I think that's wrong. Um, but they deal with all kinds of stressors, and that are just kind of terrible. Like there's so much. I don't even want to get into it. Um, yeah, I don't know that I want to go down that rabbit hole, but there is a lot there to unpack. Um, Anyways, there's no real spot that it's like, oh, I love what I do, and yes, I want to do this, and it's worth all of the extra stress that this is going to entail. Like, there's just not, everything is a little cutthroat in the US, and whether it's pressure from management or pressure from, people who are billionaires or trillionaires trying to, you know, get money for shareholders, trying to make their company successful, which that is the measure. Um, I don't know. I feel like things have gotten a lot worse, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. And like I have, coworkers who are like, yeah, it's just kind of gotten much more strained with the AI movement, and you kind of get the sense that companies really are trying to push people out, and it's a lot of middle class jobs. Just kind of trying to make it really uncomfortable for people to stay. And there aren't too many places to go right now. I don't know. The thought of all of this just, I've done this for too many years, and if I could give myself when I was younger one solid piece of advice, um, because I prepared to retire by mid 50s, you know, that was kind of my goal, because I watched my company push people out once they hit their like mid 50s, and I wanted to be prepared for that, because I think it surprises people because they think they're going to make it to like retirement age of 59 and a half or 60, and then they don't. They're short a few years because the company lays them off. Um, and I've just watched that so many times, like it's a pattern. Um, so, so I was kind of preparing to retire in my mid 50s, but I also wanted to work until I was like 59 or 60. And I wanted to, my daughter, it kind of aligned with when she graduates and goes off to college, when I, hit my 50s. And so I wanted to really push hard that last decade and see what I could do, without, since I would have a lot more time on my hands. And like if I was really having fun, then I'm just going to stay and hang out, until I'm 60. But if I was not, then I could retire, at 55. But it's with AI, it's not working out that way. And I'm not sure anyone could have predicted this. So now I am, 49, and I'm not sure there's anywhere for me to go at this point. And it's not so much like, oh, there's nowhere for me to go. I'm sure I could find something, um, but not in the direction that I built my career, which is towards tech, um, because it just sounds miserable. having like thousands of agents to manage versus actually thinking and figuring things out like little puzzles, which I actually like doing. Um, I don't want to sit there like an automaton pressing a button for 8 hours a day, watching agents do work and teaching them. And I don't even know that I'm going to be chosen as one of the people that even gets to stay and do that. And people are like, oh, but you could make so much money. You know what? If I have to press a button 8 hours a day, it is not worth it. I don't care how much money you pay me. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That is, I mean, it just, that sounds like the most boring thing on the planet. I'm not doing that. They're like, oh, but it's so easy. You just get paid a lot of money. It's so easy. It sounds completely miserable. Um, I would rather solve hard problems all day long than become an automaton pushing a button all day, watching something else solve the problems for me and not knowing how to do it myself. Um, ultimately, um, and the thing is these companies, they need people like me who understand how to solve things. I'm not saying they need me directly; they don't, um, but they need people with depth of experience to teach the agents and to sit there and babysit them and make sure they're doing it right. And when I have worked with AI, it is a lot of babysitting because it does get things wrong a lot. And if you don't understand the nuances, you don't realize that it's getting it wrong. And so you really do kind of have to babysit it, and you really, really have to be cautious about what you're telling it to do because it's going to give you what you're telling it to do. Not always entirely, but for the most part, it will. And so it's like if you're putting in garbage, you're going to get out garbage. If you're putting in thoughtful stuff, it's going to give you some thoughtful things. But but you really do have to babysit it and teach it and play with it and ask it, refine your questions over and over and over again. And then sometimes it doesn't even understand. You know, it's because it's just not there yet. Um, but people with less knowledge and understanding of the nuances don't realize that. And so they may think it's like the greatest thing in the world. And they're like, oh, well, you know, it's giving me exactly what I need. But then, you know, you might give the product to somebody who actually has some expertise in the data, and it's really not what you need. Um, so you have to be really cautious with it in that way. So companies, they want people that they can pay less who are new and young and fresh. Um, but they want those people to have the depth of knowledge of somebody like me who's been in the industry for many years. And you can't have it both ways. You just can't. Um, and that's kind of the thing that they're going to run into. And people like me do not want to do this shit. We don't. We've spent our entire year, like entire life, developing ourselves. And I did not get to the end of my career to push a button for 8 hours a day and to babysit an agent that I've built and have to watch it like try to learn. And it's not human. And so you can't just like talk to it and explain it. Like you have to find different ways to refine your questions. And sometimes it just literally doesn't get it. It just doesn't. Um, because sometimes the output is too complex. And over time, AI will learn and it will become smarter than us. I have no doubt. But it is not there yet. And if you do understand the nuances and you've done this for years, that is something you fully understand when you're working with it. And there's no way around having that understanding of nuance and knowledge, because if you don't have it, you just don't know. You don't realize it. So, anyhow, um, I'm not sure that anybody could pay me enough money to sit there and push a button. I don't want to do it. Um, it's very disappointing to get to this point in my career and realize that these are my options going forward. Just, I was really looking forward to, like, a new experience, and kind of pushing myself. And I wasn't sure which direction I wanted to take. I was like, maybe I'll take some management courses and maybe I'll do that and I'll try and, like, promote or whatever. But I just didn't really know, what I wanted to do. And just the outlook of everything right now and being in that environment, um, on the cusp of these changes and moves to AI, and with companies, making it less comfortable for you to be there. Um, like, 5-day work weeks in the office, and um, co-location strategies, and reasons to just get you to just, like, up and quit, like, just piling work on so that if you don't have time to learn AI as thoroughly, but if you don't use it, you're going to fall behind. Um, I don't know, just stuff like that. Like, I'm just so burnt out, I'm so burnt out. Um, and a lot of it has to do with the policies that are inhumane, that treat us, um, for many, many years like we are not humans, like that we really are just little cogs in this wheel to be pushed around, um, like 1 week bereavement. And I don't know. And that is not, the team that I was on, that's not their fault. Like, this is not because they were supportive. This is like, this comes from the top, and it comes from, policies that companies institute in all corporate culture across our country. It comes from policies, you know, political policies that are created. Um, it's a lot, and we really should have universal health care, because healthcare should not be tied to employment. It just shouldn't. And healthcare companies are a racket. I'm sorry. Like, they should not be telling doctors what to do. Um, some executive in a glass building should not be telling my surgeon what they can and cannot do. Like, if I had a surgeon, um, that is outrageous. And I don't care if they have a degree in medicine. In that executive, they are not the person's doctor. Um, they should not have any say at all in the treatment that is administered. But they do, because, it's the bottom line of their company, and they're trying to get their own bonuses, right? Yeah, that is exactly what's happening. And they're trying to save their company money at the expense and cost, sometimes of lives, of people's lives. And that is just not the way healthcare should work. Healthcare is a right. Everyone deserves to have decent healthcare. And there should be an option for people to have effective, publicly provided healthcare, that is not tied to any employment, that is just simply you get it because you are a United States citizen or resident, or just for being human and going into a hospital and you need care, whether or not you are a citizen or not. I just feel like, I feel very deeply this is a universal right. Same with education. I feel the same way about education. Um, anyways, we are one of the richest countries in the world, and there's no reason why we can't provide this to everyone who lives here. It's just a will thing. Um, it's not a matter of whether we can. It's a will thing and what we're willing to do, who we're willing to tax, to people that benefit by even just living here and being able to have a business here and being able to exist here and being able to become rich here. You know. Anyways, inequality itself is it is an absolute moral catastrophe, and it's a policy catastrophe. Um, I don't know that I want to shift to inequality, but it is tied directly in to all of this. Um, but human rights, better policies, um, actual rights for workers, um, being treated like you're human, being able to go through a death without getting burnt out 4.5 years later because of policy, you know, that didn't treat you like you're human. Multiple policies all at once. Um, and then that's where I'm at, you know, and I tried my hardest. I pushed myself my absolute hardest while going through all of that. And this is where it landed me, right here, talking to you about whatever this is I'm going through. Because at the end of the day, this is where this lands people when we're not treated like people and we have human needs and ultimately those are not met. You get burnout. Um, and then eventually your body just says no more. Like it won't even let you go anymore. Like what is happening with me? And like, you know, my therapist, she said that everything is working the way it should work because some people can just keep going and going and going and then they get sick. Like they get all kinds of medical issues. But my body actually stopped me from going anymore. Like it just said, Jody, you're not doing this anymore. And that probably spared me from having some pretty bad medical issues. Like this is the borderline between health and not being healthy. And I can't go anymore. Like I have nothing left in me to do it. Like they chewed me up and they spit me out. And this is where I'm at right now, like the spit out. But, you know, going back to if I could give myself one piece of advice, it would be if you're going to do it and if you're going to be in corporate culture and you know you're probably going to have like hard things happen in your life, like if you've already had a hard life and then you know you think bad things may happen or whatever, which that happens to everybody, I would just prepare to retire by mid 40s. Like there's no need to do this for any longer than that. And then actually work until you're 50 because then you have like a 5 year buffer where you can kind of have more liquid savings. You build it up in that last 5 years and then just retire, man. Like that is exactly, if I could go back and tell myself one thing, that young woman that my mom was like, you have to work in corporate culture because you need insurance. And I was like, why are you telling me this? That is what I would tell her. I'm like, if you're going to do this, save as much as you can, invest as much as you can in the S&P. I don't do individual stocks. It's way too risky. And we're not psychic. Like I would be like, hey, you know, invest in Apple, but you know, you don't know that. So, and no one is going to tell you to do that, because nobody from the future is coming back to tell you anything. So S&P is safe. So yeah, invest in the S&P. Um, do multiple types of investment vehicles, like you know, do the IRA, the Roth, and then you know, have your liquid savings, like in a high yield or whatever you want to do, any kind of like brokerage. But do it, do it, and prepare to have the amount you need ready to go and retire by mid to late 40s and be done, because you are not going to have the energy to do it for much longer after that. And you don't want your life to be put in the whims of anybody else's hands, especially not people who are trying to move up in the ranks of corporate culture, who they really do kind of see you as, you know, like different chess pieces or cogs in the wheel of their career. Um, and they might have their own biases, you know, like they may see you as whatever they want to see you as. And that's really something that's completely out of your control. You can't, you can't change that. The only thing you can change is your situation for yourself. And so that's what I would tell myself. I would be like, it, the goal is not 55, Jody, the goal is 45. And if you have it all settled by the time you're around 45, give or take, you know, because that's hard, um, enough to live, and not necessarily comfortably, um, but enough to live to where your expenses are low, um, and you have enough to, you know, get the basics like groceries and car and insurance and, you know, all that stuff. And a little buffer, like maybe you can go on a light vacation, you know, once a year, once every 2 years or something. That's enough, you know, it is, it's enough. And, and people are like, oh, but what if your money runs out? What if it runs out? Well, um, that's why we have to fight for Social Security, which is absolutely like we all pay into it. Like that's our money. It's not a tax. I don't consider it a tax. I consider it my money. And I expect it to be there when I get out of this, when I'm ready to collect it. That's the deal. I didn't give it away for free. I put it in there because someday I'm collecting on it. So yeah, we're gonna fight for Social Security. Um, but yeah, like you'll have that too to kind of offset other costs. And as long as you just, man, you don't need all of the toys. You don't. And I was never one to really be a shopper anyways. Like I'm just not, it's not who I am. I actually hate shopping. Um, but I do like having things on occasion. And on occasion, I love like, you know, getting a new pair of shoes, like for summer, or, um, you know, there are things that I like to have. I love getting like new kitchen stuff. And I haven't in a long time. Like my pots and pans are so old. Actually, uh, Rob and I bought them when we got married. So like, they've lasted, but I really actually do need some new ones. Yeah, I'll have to eventually get new ones, but yeah, so I really don't shop. And like even like some of the sweatshirts you see me wearing in these videos are from high school. Um, my mom bought me sweatshirts for, I was in cross country in high school, and she bought them for me for the mornings. I have a gray and a green and a black one. And I remember because she got those for me for Christmas one year, and I still have them. My gray one has holes in it. I still have it. But yeah, I still wear those, you know. Um, I don't get rid of things. Like I just kind of keep it, and it's partly like the environmentalist in me. Like I just like, you know, like I don't I understand that, you know, when things are made, like a lot of stuff is made in China, and they have to transport it to the US. But also the factories in China, you know, they're terrible for the environment. And and then the transportation itself, the logistics, that is terrible for the environment. So like kind of like the entire logistics system is it's really bad for climate change. And so um, so it's hard for me to justify uh, buying a lot of stuff, you know, and I'm not saying I don't, I do. But I try to buy good items that will last a long time, and just far between purchases, you know. Like I'll buy a good pair of shoes that I know will last me, versus buying cheap shoes for like every single year, you know, because I know they're only going to last a year or less or whatever. Um, and that is a point of privilege. Like that's not something everybody can do, and I understand that. When I was younger, I could only afford the cheap shoes, and and I would just wear them out, you know. But but I try, you know, to buy things that are good that will last, so that I am not adding to all of the pollution that it takes to make these things and to transport them. Um, I try to buy a good thing. I really wanted the good refrigerator. You know, I couldn't get it. I was gonna get a Sub-Zero because I know it would last me forever, and it is just too expensive. Like I would love to get a Sub-Zero because I know that I would never have to replace it. That it would be the last fridge that I have. But I'm a little nervous about the fridge I did buy, and I'm getting rid of the refrigerator that I call Butch, anyways, because Butch is from 1980 and is a Haas and has lasted all this time. And we had to fix we had to fix the fridge, you know, a few times, but you know, it was like $75 to fix it once, and then like I think like $20 to fix it another time, and it still works. You know, so I feel kind of guilty for replacing it because it's like a good fridge. It's like back when they made things that lasted, but it's really loud, and that always drives me a little crazy. And then it's also like it's kind of an energy suck. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna regret buying the fridge. I know it. Like I feel it in my bones. And it's actually sitting in my living room right now, and it's really tall. It's so much taller than I thought it was gonna be because it's a thinner fridge, and it's counter depth because I have a really small kitchen, and so I wanted to have like a thinner counter depth fridge, but it's like 84 inches tall. Oh my gosh, like I don't even know. I'm gonna have to get like a ladder or something. Um, yeah. So I kind of have like refrigerator regret, even though I haven't even installed this thing yet. Um, but I'm hoping that it will last. And I kind of doubt, I have my doubts. And I'm just like, why didn't I just go for the Sub-Zero, you know? And then I'm like, oh yeah, when I look at the price of it, I'm like, that's why I didn't go for the Sub-Zero. Yeah. But so that was kind of one of those things like where it's a purchase and I'm really worried about it, but I couldn't really afford the one that I wanted, which I know would last for like the rest of my life probably. Um, I think if this thing goes out on me, I'm going to get the Sub-Zero and just bite the bullet and just do it. But I'll give this thing a chance. It's like the monolith in here. Anyways, when I look up, I'm like looking at the top of it. It's almost to my ceiling in here, and it's just waiting for my kitchen to get redone. And I just have the worst gut feeling about it. So I'm staring at it, and I'm worried. And it's expensive enough to where um, it makes me feel nervous about it. Um, but it's not the same fear of how I would have felt if I bought the Sub-Zero um, and just spending all of that money, you know, like I just, because that is, it's just a ton of money. Like I just can't do that. Anyways, so fingers crossed. But yeah, replacing the 1980 fridge, um, making my kitchen a little more streamlined, using materials, like I am keeping some of my, like the closet and the cabinet and stuff like that. And then I'm reusing um, some of the forward facing cabinets, like the wood, I'm reusing it for a couple of other cabinets that I'm going to build, but, or have built. I'm not building them myself. Um, and I'm finally replacing the dishwasher. We got it right before Abigail was born. Um, so that thing is 17 years old and it's broken a couple times. I fixed it once. I was able to fix it. And then I had to have somebody else repair it again. And it's kind of making these noises now. And I'm like, you know, and it doesn't really clean as well anymore. Like I'm kind of having to wash dishes before I put them in. And then I feel like it's more like just sanitizing them. So I got a new dishwasher that's very energy efficient and water. It uses a lot less water than some of the older stuff. So anyways, once I do this, hopefully that's it. Like I will never have to redo anything in that kitchen ever again, and I'm not going to. Um, I'm just ready for things to be done. Um, and then I want to just have my expenses super low. And then I think I think I just want to retire. I think that's where I'm at. I might try to work for a little bit longer, um, but I think life has chewed me up and spit me out, and I think my body is like, you cannot do this anymore, Jody. You do not have it in you. And so I'm starting the process of winding down. So yeah, my advice to anyone out there starting their career, um, kind of do what I did with keeping your expenses low. Don't don't keep up with the Joneses. Just don't. It's never worth it. Um, I mean, unless you're already the Joneses, like, and you have the money to just keep up with all of your friends. I mean, whatever then. But if you're not already the Joneses, just don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth the stress. Like, just keep your expenses low. Um, enjoy life with the experiences that you can have. Like, spend time with your family and your kids if you have kids. Do things that you love. Get a hobby that you can do, like with your hands or whatever, like paint or build something. And cultivate your friendships. Use work like they use you, because it's just, make it mutually beneficial, where you are saving as much as you possibly can, you're earning as much as you possibly can, and you're saving as much as you possibly can and investing, and get the heck out. You know, be ready to just retire mid 40s and just to where you have enough and you can just get out. Because by 50, you're going to want to have that option at least, you know. And then just enjoy the rest of your life, you know, like watch the birds, feed the squirrels, feed the ducks, swim, run, take hikes, paint. Like become a kid again, you know. Watch the bugs, you know, watch the insects. That's what I want to do.